Have you ever sat in the hush of your home, the kind of silence that wraps around you like a wool blanket in winter? Not warm, but heavy. Maybe you're sitting at your kitchen table, your hands cradling a warm cup of tea, staring out a window where the light falls just right, and you realize it's just you now. No one to ask about your day, no footsteps down the hall, no familiar voice calling your name. At first, that quiet might feel like a gentle relief, a break from the rush, the mess, the obligations. But slowly, almost without notice, that same silence begins to stretch. And somewhere between the stillness and the echo, a soft ache settles in. An ache that whispers, something's missing. If you've ever felt that even for a moment, I want you to hear me clearly now. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. And you are certainly not alone in feeling this way. Aging has a way of rearranging the pieces of our lives. Friends drift away, a spouse may pass on, children grow into their own worlds, busy and bustling. And suddenly the home that once pulsed with life now feels too quiet, too wide, too still. It's like living inside a story that everyone else seems to have stepped out of. But here's something few people ever say out loud. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. That ache you feel isn't just for people. It's for connection, for purpose, for a sense of meaning. And the beautiful truth is that meaning isn't gone. It's just waiting for you to find it again, in a different way. This chapter of life, though quieter, can be incredibly rich. It can be filled with the kind of depth that only comes from time, from experience, from wisdom earned. But it doesn't happen by accident. It takes intention, it takes choice, it takes heart. So if you've been waking up and wondering what now, or if the days are starting to blur together, I invite you to stay with me. Because there are things you can do, simple, beautiful things, that can bring light back into your days, not just for the sake of filling time, but for the sake of living it. We'll start small, one gentle shift at a time. The first, giving your days just a little structure, a rhythm that makes each morning feel like a beginning again. And from there, we'll build. Not just a routine, but a life that feels like you again, lived fully from the inside out. So let's begin. Not with grand plans, but with one step, one breath, one choice to lean back into your own life. Because this is not the end. It's a different kind of beginning. And you're not walking it alone. When you live alone, the calendar stops knocking. No school drop-offs, no urgent meetings, no one tugging at your sleeve or reminding you that it's time to go. And at first, that freedom can feel like a long exhale, a kind of peaceful spaciousness. No more rushing, no more deadlines, just open time stretching out ahead of you. But here's the quiet truth. Too much unstructured time can slowly turn into a fog. The days begin to blend, like watercolor on wet paper, soft around the edges, a little blurry. You find yourself wondering, was that yesterday or last week? Did I eat lunch? When was the last time I really stepped outside? That's not laziness. That's what happens when time loses its shape. That's why we begin here, with rhythm. Not a rigid schedule, not a military march, but a gentle pulse that gives your day structure. Something to help you feel the sun move across the sky. Something that says, today matters, you matter. Start with your mornings. Choose a time to wake up and hold to it, not out of obligation, but as a gift to yourself. When you rise, make your bed, not for anyone else, for you. Because that simple act says, this day is mine, and I'm ready to step into it. Create a small morning ritual. It could be a cup of coffee sipped slowly by the window, a prayer whispered to the morning light, or a few stretches to stir your body gently awake. Let this become your anchor, your invitation to presence. From there, sprinkle your day with purpose. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Maybe it's watering the plants at noon, calling a friend in the afternoon, reading a chapter before bed. Just a few touch points that bring your day into focus and help you stay connected to yourself. If you've ever watched the ocean, you know how waves come in, not rushed, not chaotic, but steady, sure, rhythmic. That's what we're building, a tide to your day, a flow that keeps you from drifting. Because when life gets quieter, We need something to hold on to, not just to pass the time, but to fill it with care, with grace, with intention. And here's the beautiful part. This rhythm becomes your quiet declaration that you are still the author of your time, that this season of life isn't about fading out, but about flowing into a new kind of strength. So tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, don't ask, what do I have to do? Ask instead, what would make this day feel alive? And then do one small thing to honor that answer. Because structure isn't just about productivity, it's about purpose. And purpose is what makes you rise. Look around the room you're sitting in right now, not with judgment, just with soft eyes. What do you see? What do you feel? When we live alone, our space often begins to reflect our inner world. A forgotten chair in the corner, dust on picture frames that once made you smile, rooms you used to fill with voices and footsteps, now echoing only with memory. It's not that you stopped caring, it's that no one else was looking. And somewhere along the way, your home turned quiet, too quiet. But here's something important. Your home is more than walls and windows. It's your companion now, your sanctuary, a mirror of how you feel about yourself. And just like you, it still deserves love, warmth, and light. You don't need to redecorate or knock down walls. This isn't about impressing anyone. This is about reclaiming your space so that it embraces you, holds you, lifts you, one corner at a time. Start small, one drawer, one shelf, one table. Clear the clutter, not because mess is bad, but because space creates breath. Let in the light. Open a curtain that stayed closed too long. Wash the window and see the world a little clearer. Light a candle, not for a guest, but for yourself. Choose a scent that brings you comfort or stirs an old memory you've long loved. Now bring in color, not loud unless you want loud. Maybe just a pillow in a soft yellow, a blanket in ocean blue. Frame a photo that makes your heart ache in a good way and place it somewhere you'll see it often. And don't forget music. Even when you're alone, your space deserves a soundtrack. Put on the song that reminds you of dancing in your youth, or the one that brings tears and joy all at once. Let it fill the silence with something beautiful. Each small shift in your environment tells your heart, I still matter. My comfort still matters. This isn't just cleaning, it's reclaiming territory. It's saying, this is still my home, and I still belong here. You might be surprised how much your mood shifts when your surroundings do. You'll walk through the hallway and feel lifted, safe, held. Your home doesn't need to be full of people to feel alive. It just needs to feel like you live there, with intention, with presence, with care. So go ahead, choose one thing today to soften, brighten, or reclaim. You don't need to rush, just begin. Because a warm space becomes a quiet partner. And in this season of life, we all deserve a space that whispers back, you're home, you're safe, you still matter here. When you're alone, it's easy to go still. You sit to eat, you sit to rest, you sit to think, to read, to reflect. One moment blends into the next, and before you know it, your favorite chair has become your most familiar place. And let's be honest, it's comfortable. It feels safe. But here's the quiet cost. The less we move, the more the body forgets how. Muscles grow quiet, joints stiffen, breath shortens, and yet somewhere deep inside, your body is still waiting to be called on, waiting to remember what it feels like to belong to you again. Because here's the truth. Motion is more than movement. It's life, it's mood, it's energy, it's agency. And you don't need a gym membership or fancy equipment to find it again. Start in the gentlest way possible before you even get out of bed. Wiggle your fingers, roll your ankles, stretch your arms to the ceiling and breathe in deeply, like you're welcoming the day into your lungs. When you stand, stand tall, not because anyone's watching, but because you're watching. You deserve to see yourself upright, grounded, and strong. Walk to the kitchen like it matters. March in place while you wait for the kettle to boil. Put on a song that once made you sway, and let your feet remember how it feels to dance. Just a little. Even if it's just swaying from side to side. Even if it's just tapping your toes to the rhythm. You don't need to do much. You just need to begin. Your body isn't something that's abandoned you. It's just waiting for the invitation to come back online. Think of movement like lighting a match. The spark may be small at first, but it brings warmth, then energy, then light. And that warmth doesn't just stay in your muscles. It spreads to your mind, to your mood, to your sense of self. And when you move, even a little, you tell your body, you're still mine. You're still needed. You still have power. Don't wait for motivation. Let movement be the thing that creates it. Take a short walk. Open the front door and step into the sunlight, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Stretch your arms while you water the plants. Twist your spine gently while listening to your favorite song. Let your blood remember its rhythm. This is not about pushing yourself. This is about waking up a part of you that still wants to live fully. Because every step, every stretch, every sway is a declaration. I'm still here, I still matter, and my body is still a part of my story. So today, just move. Move like you belong in this life, because you do. And movement is how you remind yourself of that truth. Over and over again. When you're living on your own, the world can start to feel like it's moving without you. You see people rushing by at the grocery store, laughing into their phones, making plans you're not part of. Birthdays come and go. Holidays pass. The mailbox is emptier than it used to be. And you begin to wonder, not with bitterness, just quiet ache. Does anyone even notice I'm still here? But here's what's often left unsaid. Connection doesn't always come knocking. Sometimes you have to knock first. It's not fair, perhaps. You've spent a lifetime giving. Your time, your love, your energy. You raised families. You cared for neighbors. You were the one others came to. And now, the silence feels like a thank you left unsaid. But let's reframe it, not as rejection, but as invitation. Because while the world may have gone quiet, you still have a voice. And sometimes the most powerful healing begins when you decide to use it again. Start small, gentle. Call that friend you've been thinking about for weeks, the one you used to laugh with over coffee or sit beside in church. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Just dial the number and say, I was thinking about you. How are you? Wave to the neighbor you see each morning. Ask the cashier how their day's going, and really mean it. Write a short note to someone from your past, even if it's just 3 lines. You crossed my mind. I hope you're well. These are not small acts. These are lifelines. You never know who else is out there, sitting quietly, waiting for someone to go first. Let it be you. You might feel nervous. You might worry that you're being a bother, but more often than not, your reaching out will be received like sunlight after a storm. Because people are lonely too, not just you. And they are hoping, quietly, desperately, that someone sees them. Be the person who sees. And in doing so, you'll be seen again. Remember, connection doesn't require a crowd. It starts with presence, with a listening ear, with a shared moment over a cup of tea or a short walk around the block. And no, you are not too old to make new friends. You're not too late to rekindle old ones. You are not too far gone to still be needed, wanted, loved. So if the phone hasn't rung lately, maybe it's not that people stopped caring. Maybe they just don't know how much you'd love to hear from them. Tell them, reach out, even if your voice shakes, because your voice still matters. And when you use it, kindly, bravely, you open doors, not just to others, but to the part of yourself that still longs to belong. When life grows quiet and the house no longer echoes with conversation, something strange can happen. You begin to forget the sound of your own voice. Not the voice you use for polite greetings or grocery lists, but the voice that once told bedtime stories. The voice that cheered from the sidelines, that soothed tears, that spoke dreams out loud in the dark. That voice still lives within you. It may be softer now, but it hasn't disappeared. It's just waiting for you to speak to yourself again. When we're alone for long stretches, the mind tends to loop through silence. It revisits the past, stirs up old regrets, or drifts aimlessly. But here's something powerful. You can interrupt that loop, not by pushing it away, but by giving it direction. One of the most healing things you can do is express yourself. Write. Not for a publisher, not for praise. Write because your thoughts deserve space outside your head. Start with one memory, just one. A moment from childhood, a holiday you'll never forget, the way your mother made soup on rainy days, the first time someone held your hand and didn't let go. Don't worry about grammar. Don't aim for perfection. Let the words spill out like rain after a long drought. Let them soften something inside. Or speak. Take your phone, hit record, and talk about your day, your dreams, the lessons you'd want your grandchildren to know. Speak as if someone in the future is listening, because one day they just might. And even if no one ever reads your words or hears your voice, something will shift. Because expression isn't about being heard by others, it's about being known by yourself again. You've lived through wars, losses, triumphs, and transformations. You carry decades of laughter and love and wisdom. That deserves to be remembered. Your life is not a fading photograph. It's a living story, and stories are meant to be told. So start today. Light a candle, open a notebook, sit by the window, write one paragraph. Say one sentence out loud. Let your own words surprise you. This is how you reclaim your voice. This is how you remember, I am still here, and I have things to say. Because your story doesn't end with silence, it begins again, each time you choose to speak it. And who knows? One day someone may find your words tucked inside a drawer or played back on an old phone. And when they do, they'll feel less alone. They'll feel your spirit, your strength, your heart still beating between the lines. So tell your story, even if it's just for you, especially if it's just for you. When the house is quiet and the world outside seems to have moved on without you, there's still one voice that follows you everywhere, your own. It rides with you from room to room. It whispers as you fall asleep. It speaks up when no one else does. And too often, it isn't kind. Maybe you've caught it saying things like, I'm useless now. No one needs me. I don't recognize myself anymore. But here's the truth. Your inner voice has power, immense power. It can either lift you up or slowly wear you down. And you have more influence over it than you've been led to believe. Let's be clear. Self-kindness is not self-indulgence. It's not fluff. It's not something nice to try. It is fuel. It is medicine. It is survival. Because the way you speak to yourself, especially when no one else is around, shapes the way you feel, the way you move, and even the way you heal. So let's begin gently. The next time you hear yourself think, no one cares about me, pause. Take a deep breath and answer back. Not with force, but with compassion. I care. I'm still here, and I still matter. When you feel regret creeping in, whisper to yourself, I did the best I could with what I knew at the time. When grief visits, let your voice offer comfort. It's okay to miss them. It's okay to cry. But I'm still here. I still have love to give. You can even begin the day with a simple phrase in the mirror. Today I will treat myself with kindness. Look into your own eyes, not to criticize, but to recognize. You are the same person who once held babies, built homes, solved problems, weathered storms. You are older now, yes, but age doesn't make you less. It makes you more layered, more seasoned, more deserving of tenderness. And here's something beautiful. Your mind listens, your body listens, your heart listens. So when you start speaking differently to yourself, everything shifts. You begin to stand a little taller. You breathe a little deeper. You walk through your day with a softness that holds strength. This is not about pretending to be happy. It's about being real and being gentle in that reality, because you've been strong for so long. Now it's time to be soft with yourself. So today, give your inner voice a new script. Let it become your ally, not your judge. Let it remind you that even in the stillness, you are growing. And tomorrow, let that same voice wake you up with words you deserve to hear. You are worthy, you are loved, and you're doing just fine. There's a special kind of emptiness that creeps in when no one needs you. After years, decades of showing up for everyone else, of cooking, holding, guiding, giving, suddenly there's quiet. No one's asking what's for dinner. No one's coming to you with scraped knees or broken hearts. And slowly you begin to wonder, what's my purpose now? But here's what you must remember. Just because your life looks different doesn't mean you've run out of reasons to wake up. You are still needed. You are still capable of care. And that care, small as it may seem, can ripple out in ways you cannot imagine. You don't need a big mission or a grand plan. You just need someone or something to tend to, something beyond yourself. Start with a plant. Yes, a plant. Give it a name. Water it every morning. Watch how it leans toward the sun, how it grows because you noticed it. Maybe a pet, a cat who curls at your feet, a dog who reminds you to walk, even a bird who sings back when you speak. Or perhaps a neighbor who could use a warm meal, a friend who hasn't heard from you in a while, a child at your local library who needs someone to read to them. The beauty of caring is this: it creates connection without needing permission. You don't have to be strong or wealthy or young. You just have to show up. Because when you care for something outside yourself, you're not just helping it grow, you're helping yourself come alive again. Purpose doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers in the soil of a garden you've just planted, in the purr of a contented cat, in the smile of a stranger who receives your kindness at just the right moment. And you are more than qualified. You have patience that can't be taught in books. You have tenderness built from years of showing up. You have time, not as a burden, but as a gift to offer. So if your days feel flat, if your heart feels heavy, try this. Choose one thing today to care for, not because you have to, but because you still can. It's not about rescuing anyone. It's about remembering that you still matter, not only for who you were, but for who you are right now. And every act of care becomes a mirror, reflecting back the truth you may have forgotten. You still have love to give. You still have purpose to live. And someone somewhere is quietly waiting for exactly the kind of care that only you can offer. When the days get quiet, your mind can start to spin in loops. Same thoughts, same worries, same memories replayed over and over again, like an old radio station that no one bothered to turn off. But here's the beautiful truth. You have the power to change the channel, to shift from passive replay to active creation. You don't need to be an artist. You don't need a fancy degree or expensive tools. You just need to remember this simple truth. Humans are meant to create. We are wired not just to think, but to make. And when you make something, anything, you give your emotions a place to land, a place to breathe, a place to transform. So pick something, anything, a pencil and paper, a paintbrush and an old mug, a batch of cookies from scratch, a skein of yarn that's been sitting in a drawer for years. Write a silly poem, doodle a tree, rearrange your bookshelf by color, fold paper into a bird. It doesn't have to be beautiful, it just has to be yours. Because what matters isn't the result, it's the act. When you create, you remind yourself, I am still here. I still have something inside me worth expressing. Think about it this way. When a child picks up a crayon, they don't ask, is this good enough? They draw because it brings them joy. That's the kind of freedom you deserve too. Maybe you used to love playing the piano. Maybe you danced when no one was looking. Maybe you once wrote in journals, took photos, sang in choirs, planted flowers that bloomed just for you. Why not do that again? Or try something new? A pottery class, a puzzle, a scrapbook of old family memories, a handmade gift for a neighbor, a story you've always wanted to tell. Creativity isn't about escaping reality. It's about enriching it. And joy? Joy is the light that pours through the cracks when you let your spirit come alive again. So laugh at your own drawing, sing off key, mix colors that don't match. Do it anyway. Because joy doesn't need to be polished, it just needs to be felt. Let your hands remember what it's like to make something from nothing. Let your heart remember how it feels to light up, just for the sake of it. And here's what might surprise you. When you create, you're not just making art. You're making connection with yourself, with the present moment, with life itself. So today, choose joy. Choose creation. Choose to let something inside you come out, messy, beautiful, and real. Because the joy isn't gone. It's just been waiting for your permission. There are days when the sun feels too far away. A song plays, a scent floats by, a photo slips from a drawer, and suddenly grief sits beside you, uninvited but familiar. It might be the absence of someone you once loved with your whole heart, or the realization that a chapter of your life has truly closed. And it hurts. It still hurts. Let yourself feel it. You don't need to hide your sadness. Tears aren't weakness. They're remembrance. They're love that has nowhere else to go. But when the tears begin to slow, even for a moment, do one small thing to remind yourself, you're still here. Light a candle. Speak their name. Step outside and let the breeze touch your face. Grief may never fully leave, but it doesn't get to be the only thing in the room. Make space for joy too. And yes, joy is still possible, even in the quiet. Even now. Watch a funny movie you've seen a dozen times. Laugh at a memory that once made you cry. Call a friend who always makes you smile. Let laughter rise up, not as denial, but as defiance. A reminder that you are still living, still breathing, still worthy of joy. Because joy and sorrow were never meant to cancel each other out. They were meant to sit side by side, like old friends who've both walked you home. And you know what else brings joy? Giving. When you offer even a small piece of yourself to someone else, loneliness starts to loosen its grip. Bake a pie for a neighbor. Donate books to the local library. Offer to rock a baby in the church nursery. Volunteer your time, your stories, your hands, your kindness. You have so much to give. Years of experience, quiet wisdom, a steadiness this world is desperate for. Don't believe the lie that you're too old, too tired, or too out of step. You are needed, now more than ever. And if you're struggling, please reach out. There is no shame in asking for help. Strength isn't just standing tall, it's knowing when to lean. Call your doctor, speak to your pastor, tell your family what you need, even if the words are hard to say. You don't have to carry everything alone, because here's what's true. Even in this season of life, you can still begin again. You can still dream. You can still laugh. You can still matter, deeply, beautifully, undeniably. So let grief walk beside you, but not in front of you. Let hope pull open the curtain, just a little. Let love, in all its forms, past and present, remind you that your story's not finished. There is still so much life to live, and you are still the one who gets to live it. If you're still here with me, still listening, still breathing in this quiet moment together, then I want you to take a deep breath right now, because that breath, it means something. It means you haven't given up. It means there's still a spark inside you, and it means that today, this very moment, can be the beginning of something new. Not a new version of the life you had before, but a life that fits who you are now. A life that honors the quiet strength you carry. A life with gentler mornings, softer truths, deeper connections. Being alone doesn't mean you've been left behind. Sometimes it simply means life is asking you to come home, to yourself, to reconnect with your own thoughts, your own values, your own rhythm. And yes, there will be hard days. There will be memories that ache, moments that sting, silence that stretches longer than it should. But in those moments, you can still choose to rise, to care, to laugh, to create, to reach out, to live, not just pass time, but to truly, gently live. You don't need permission. You don't need to be useful to be valuable. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your existence is already proof of something sacred. So tomorrow when you open your eyes, ask yourself, what's one small thing I can do today to feel alive? And then do it. Not because anyone's watching, but because you are worth the effort. Because this is your time. Not what's left, but what's next. If this video touched you, if something in it made you pause, or feel seen, or breathe a little easier, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment. Tell us one small thing you'll do this week just for you. If this message brought comfort, click like. It helps others find this space. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to Elder Wisdom and Strength. Every week, we're here with real, honest, and hopeful conversations for people like you, for people who still believe in the power of a meaningful life, no matter the age. Because here, you're not just a viewer, you're part of a community, a quiet circle of strength, soul, and shared wisdom. So here's to your peace, here's to your resilience, Here's to the next beautiful chapter, written not in haste, but with intention. You're not alone, not anymore. We're walking this journey with you. And friend, you've got this.